The Cloud Bakery. Summary. Deep in the sky lives Chef Puff, a magical cloud who bakes dreams into cupcakes, courage-flavored, kindness-frosted, or adventure-filled. But one night, he runs out of ingredients until a little girl shares her laughter and a boy shares a song. Together, they help him bake the most magical dreams yet. Segment 1. The Whispering Skies. High above the cotton candy clouds, where the stars blink like fireflies taking rest between their nightly dances, there floated a magical realm, the Cloud Bakery. Nestled between the folds of a sprawling cumulus, it glowed with soft lavender light, drifting lazily across the sky. The air shimmered with the scent of vanilla and marshmallow, and sugar dust flakes sparkled like snow. Inside this enchanted space, time was slow and dreams were born not in silence, but in the sweet hum of a cloud-shaped oven. At the heart of the bakery lived Chef Puff, a small, round cloud with a puffy mustache the color of moonlight and eyes that twinkled like stardust. He wore a sky-blue apron stitched with tiny embroidered stars, and his chef hat swayed with the gentle breeze that swept through his kitchen. His voice was soft like thunder far away, and his steps, if clouds could walk, were weightless ripples in the misty floor. Chef Puff was not just any baker. He was the dream baker. Each cupcake he made held a feeling: courage, laughter, kindness, wonder. Children who were afraid of the dark, lonely in the rain, or hesitant on the first day of school, somehow, they would dream of his cupcakes and wake up a little braver, a little lighter. This particular night, however, a hush fell over the usually jolly kitchen. The mixing bowls were silent. The shelves stood bare. The swirling dream essence jars, usually filled with giggles, whispers of wishes, and sparkles of hope, were empty. Chef Puff floated toward the ingredient shelf, puffed out a slow, worried sigh, and whispered, "Oh dear, I'm all out of dreams." Segment 2. A Hollow Whisk. Chef Puff hovered solemnly beside his favorite mixing bowl, a porcelain heirloom passed down from the very first dream baker. Its iridescent glaze shimmered faintly in the moonlight, but tonight, it was empty. Not a drop of star syrup or a grain of dream sugar to be found. The comforting rhythm of whisking, sifting, and swirling had vanished, replaced by an eerie stillness. Outside the curved glass windows of the bakery, the night sky stretched endlessly. A soft wind brushed past, tugging at the golden wind chimes, shaped like spoons and teacups that hung from the rafters. They jingled sadly, as if echoing Chef Puff's own melancholy. He floated toward the shelf labeled essences of emotion. The tiny bottles once glowed bright. Laughter, a golden liquid that popped like bubblegum. Kindness, a pink mist that sparkled like sunlight on fresh snow. Curiosity, a swirling teal vapor that danced inside its jar. All were now dim or completely dry. Chef Puff furrowed his puffy brows. "How could this be?" he muttered, gently shaking the bottles, hoping for a final drop. "The dreams, they've stopped coming." He floated over to his weathered recipe book, its pages soft as clouds and full of ancient magic. Flipping to his favorite cupcake, Hope Swirled Velvet, he sighed. The ingredients required a spark of joy, a whisper of courage, and a giggle from a child's heart. "I've never had a night without dreams to bake," he whispered, the ache in his chest growing heavier. What What if the children below have stopped dreaming altogether? As the sky deepened into a darker indigo, Chef Puff leaned on the counter, eyes fixed on the earth below, glittering faintly with lights. Somewhere in the world, surely, a dream must still exist. But how would he find it? Segment 3. A flicker beneath the clouds. Chef Puff stared downward through his misty viewing window. A large, dewdrop-shaped lens nestled into the cloud wall. From his perch in the sky, he could see sleepy towns tucked under starlit blankets, rooftops dotted with chimneys, glowing night lights in bedroom windows. He watched shadows move across curtains. Cats curled by firelight. A father whispered bedtime stories. A mother kissed a child's forehead. But where were the dreams? In the past, they would rise like wisps of steam, colorful, glowing trails of imagination ascending gently into the sky. The cloud bakery would hum with magic each night as Puff plucked dreams from the air like ripe fruit. But now, only a pale fog drifted upward. Dreams were no longer bursting into the night like fireworks. They were faint, tired, or missing entirely. Chef Puff floated slowly back from the window, his cottony form deflating ever so slightly. He didn't just bake cupcakes. He nurtured the very dreams that helped children face the world. Without them, what would become of bedtime? Of hope? Of wonder? Just as he reached to close the dream book, a glimmer, a tiny shimmer, caught his eye. It was faint, like a firefly blinking once and vanishing, but it was there. A flicker. Somewhere over a grove of trees, near a small village, one wisp curled skyward. It was golden and warm, trailing faint musical notes as it rose. Chef Puff perked up, puffing slightly larger with hope. A song dream, he whispered, rare and sweet. He quickly opened his dream compass, a swirling, star-mapped disc that spun gently in his paws. The needle pointed firmly in the direction of the wisp. Someone down there still believes. Chef Puff's eyes gleamed with renewed purpose. I must go. Segment 4. Descent into the quiet earth. With the resolve of a baker on a mission, Chef Puff tightened the string on his stardust apron and summoned his travel whisk, a slender, silver tool that unfolded into a shimmering, spiral-shaped glider. With a flick of his cloudy hand, the back wall of the bakery unfurled like a curtain, revealing the open sky. He stepped into the breeze, the dream compass glowing softly in one hand, the whisk glider shimmering in the other. Then, with a leap both weightless and bold, Chef Puff dove through the clouds. The descent was a gentle dance. He spiraled past moonbeams, brushed the tails of comets, and dodged sleepy owls on their nighttime patrols. As he passed through the thickening mist, the dream wisp grew clearer, golden and musical, twirling slowly like a ribbon in the air. Below, the village of Thimblebrook emerged, tiny cottages with mossy roofs, winding cobbled paths, and glowing windows that blinked like cozy stars. It was quiet, except for a single sound drifting faintly on the wind, a lullaby. Chef Puff followed the song to its source. Nestled beneath a weeping willow near the edge of the village was a boy sitting on a wooden swing. His back was to the world, but his voice was soft and rich, full of gentle sadness and warmth. The dream compass pulsed in Puff's paw. This was it. Landing with a soft cloud-like sigh beside the boy, Chef Puff made himself as visible as he could, just enough to shimmer slightly in the moonlight. The boy looked up, startled, his song pausing in his throat. Who are you? He asked, eyes wide but unafraid. Chef Puff smiled warmly. I'm the Dream Baker. And you, my boy, have just sung the first dream I've tasted in a long, long while. The boy blinked. A dream from my song? Yes, Chef Puff said, his voice a gentle breeze. And I think you might be able to help me bake something truly magical. Segment 5. The Boy with the Midnight Song. The boy shifted on the swing, letting the silence settle. His name was Leo, about 8 years old, with a head full of tangled curls the color of midnight and eyes that shimmered a little like stars. Quiet stars, the kind you notice when everything else has gone still. His voice, though uncertain, carried a strength that didn't match his size. You bake dreams? Leo asked, his voice barely above a whisper. Chef Puff nodded, folding his whisk glider and tucking it into his apron. Yes. I bake cupcakes with feelings inside. Courage, joy, curiosity. But something's gone wrong. The dreams stopped coming. Except yours. He tilted his head. That song, what were you singing about? Leo looked down at his lap. My sister, he murmured. She used to sing it with me, before she got sick. Chef Puff floated closer, gently, respectfully. And now you sing it for her? Leo nodded, and the wind rustled the willow leaves above them. She can't talk much anymore, but I think she hears it. It's the only time she smiles. Chef Puff's chest puffed with warmth. Emotions, the rich, deep kind, were the most potent ingredients of all. This child wasn't just dreaming. He was sharing, pouring love into the sky without even knowing. You've given me something rare, Leo, Puff said gently. Would you help me collect more? The ingredients I need are hiding in hearts like yours. Leo hesitated, then slowly stood up from the swing. You really think we can fix the dreams? I know we can, Chef Puff beamed, but we'll need help. Leo glanced toward the house behind the willow tree. A soft light shone through a second-floor window, his sister's room. He took a breath, looked back at Puff, and nodded. Then let's go find the dreams. Segment 6. The Gift of Laughter. The two set off through Thimblebrook's sleeping streets, Chef Puff gliding just above the cobbles, his cloud form glowing faintly, and Leo walking beside him in the hush of the moonlight. The dream compass spun slowly in Puff's hand, its needle tilting east, where the village sloped toward a field. I can still feel your song in the air, Puff said, his voice as soft as wool. But one dream alone can't fill the pantry. We need joy. The kind that dances and rolls and sparkles like sunlight through leaves. Leo furrowed his brow. Joy like laughter? Chef Puff's eyes twinkled. Exactly. Not the loud kind that vanishes fast. The real kind. The kind that stays with you. Do you know anyone who laughs like that? Leo's expression lit up. Hazel. Hazel. She lives down the road. She's younger than me, always giggling. Even when it rains or she trips over her own feet. That sounds promising, Puff smiled. They followed the cobbled lane until they reached a small house shaped like a teapot, painted pale green and covered in ivy. A single upstairs window glowed with candlelight. Just below it, sitting on the porch wrapped in a quilt, was Hazel. She couldn't have been more than 5. Her cheeks were rosy, her curls wild with sleep, and she was giggling to herself as she juggled 3 stuffed animals, badly. One bounced off her lap and rolled into the bushes. Oops, she whispered, then broke into a fit of laughter that made her shoulders shake. Chef Puff let out a delighted gasp. That's it. The compass pulsed, and a golden mist began to rise around Hazel, warm, bubbly, like fizzy soda light. Leo stepped forward, hesitant. "Hazel," he whispered. She turned and squealed with joy. "Leo, you brought a cloud." Puff floated closer, tipping his hat. "May I have a little of your laughter, dear Hazel? Just a scoop." She blinked. "Only if you take Mr. Waffles too." She held out one of her stuffed animals, an old bunny with one ear flopped sideways. Chef Puff chuckled. "Deal." And with a gentle swirl of his whisk, the laughter mist and Hazel's boundless joy were captured in a jar shaped like a cupcake. "One song," said Chef Puff, "and one burst of laughter. We're getting closer." Leo smiled, eyes full of wonder. "Who's next?" Chef Puff's whisk glinted under the moonlight. "Let's find the heart of kindness." Segment 7. The Kindness Jar. The sky began to pale into a silvery blue, that quiet time when night and dawn blend like watercolor. Fireflies blinked their final lights, and a soft hush settled over Thimblebrook. Chef Puff floated above the earth with a jar of laughter swinging from his apron, Leo at his side, and Hazel skipping barefoot along behind them, dragging Mr. Waffles by one floppy paw. The dream compass pulsed again, this time slower, gentler, and its needle curved toward the town's small square, where flower boxes drooped with sleepy blossoms and a stone fountain babbled to itself. "This feeling," Puff murmured, closing his eyes. "It's tender, gentle. It lingers like warm soup on a cold day. We're close to kindness." Leo scanned the square. "Maybe Mrs. Maple?" he asked, pointing toward the small apothecary shop tucked beside the bakery ruins. "She always leaves soup on our porch when Mom's working late." Chef Puff nodded. Kindness often blooms in quiet places. They crept toward the apothecary. Through the foggy window, they saw Mrs. Maple moving slowly inside. She was older, her back slightly hunched, hair tucked into a bun like a blooming dandelion puff. She was placing tiny bundles into a basket, bread, herbs, soft cloth, and humming a lullaby to herself. "She does this every morning," Leo whispered. "Delivers baskets to people who need them." Hazel whispered, "She gave me honey when I scraped my knee." As they watched, Mrs. Maple stepped outside and gently placed the basket on a doorstep across the square. Then she straightened, took a deep breath, and smiled. Not the kind of smile you wear for others, but the kind that blooms from within. The compass glowed, and a pale pink mist swirled around her. The essence of selfless giving, as delicate as rose petals. Chef Puff dipped his whisk into the air, catching the mist with a reverent touch. The kindness jar filled with warm pink light, glowing softly. "She doesn't even know she's dreaming," Leo said. Puff whispered, "The best kindness asks for nothing in return." Hazel hugged Mr. Waffles tighter. "I want to be kind like that." Chef Puff smiled at her, placing the sealed kindness jar beside the other two. "You already are." 3 jars now nestled in his apron. Song, laughter, kindness. But something tugged at Puff's thoughts. "There's one more we need before we return," he said, eyes narrowing slightly. "Something harder to find. Something powerful." Leo tilted his head. "What is it?" Chef Puff's voice turned quiet and serious. "Courage. The kind that stands tall even when everything feels small." And with that, the dream compass spun again, this time toward a silent part of town. Segment 8. The Girl Who Watched the Storm. The path toward courage wound through the sleepy outskirts of Thimblebrook. The cobbled streets gave way to gravel, then grass, then a gentle hill crowned with an old, wind-bent tree. Thunder rolled low in the distance, a summer storm brewing beyond the hills, and the sky had turned from silver to smoky gray. Chef Puff, Leo, and Hazel climbed the slope together. The compass trembled faintly now, its glow flickering like a heartbeat. "We're close," Puff said, his voice lower, heavier with respect. At the top of the hill sat a girl. She was maybe 9, tall for her age, with wind-tangle hair the color of chestnut bark and a jacket several sizes too big draped around her shoulders. Her boots were scuffed, her knees scraped, but her gaze, directed toward the storm clouds rolling in, was calm, unblinking. "She's not afraid," Hazel whispered, peeking from behind Leo. Leo nodded. "That's Mira. She's different." Chef Puff floated quietly toward her, careful not to startle. Mira didn't turn. Her eyes stayed on the horizon, where lightning crackled far away in threads of white. "Why do you sit here alone?" Puff asked gently. "I like the storm," she replied, her voice clear. "I used to be afraid of it. Now I watch it so my little brother doesn't have to." Puff's cloud heart swelled. That's courage. She finally turned to face him. No fear in her eyes, just steady strength. "Are you a dream?" "I'm a baker of them," he replied. "And your strength is an ingredient I need. May I borrow a piece of it?" Mira didn't hesitate. "If it'll help someone." With a slow, reverent motion, Puff spun his whisk once, twice, then dipped it into the still air. From Myra's quiet bravery rose a mist like blue firelight, cool but strong, a whisper of standing firm when knees tremble. It swirled into the courage jar and pulsed with a deep, unwavering glow. As he sealed the jar, thunder clapped overhead. Hazel yelped and ducked. Leo reached for her hand, but Mira just stood up and said, "Come on, rain's coming. We should head back." Chef Puff looked down at his apron. For jars, each glowing with rare, raw emotion. "Tonight," he murmured, "we bake." Segment 9. Return to the clouds. As the first raindrops began to fall, the group hurried back through the whispering grasses of Thimblebrook, their breath forming small clouds in the cooling air. The rain was gentle, not the kind that chased you, but the kind that softly reminded you the world was alive. Chef Puff held his whisk high, and with a gust of sugar-scented wind, the whisk unfurled once more into a glider. But this time, it shimmered with renewed magic, infused with laughter, song, kindness, and courage. The air around them buzzed with a humming warmth. "We're going back to your bakery now?" Leo asked, brushing a raindrop from his nose. "Yes," said Puff. "It's time to bake a new batch of dreams. Strong ones born from real hearts." Hazel clutched Mr. Waffles tightly. "Will we fly?" Chef Puff grinned. "We won't just fly. We'll sail the dream currents." He opened his apron, and from within it swirled a spiral of mist, which widened and unfurled into a soft, glowing cloud boat. Its edges shimmered with stardust, and each seat was cushioned in memory foam shaped like marshmallows. The children climbed aboard with wide eyes, Mira last, folding her arms and watching the sky with her quiet strength. With a twirl of the whisk, Chef Puff stirred the winds, and the boat rose. It lifted slowly, gently, leaving behind the rooftops, the trees, the lamp-lit windows of Thimblebrook. Higher they climbed, until the ground was just a painting, and the stars welcomed them home. The Cloud Bakery came into view, nestled between constellations and cloaked in mist. The windows glowed faintly again, And as they landed on the pillowy cloud deck, a gust of warm, cinnamon-scented air whooshed out to greet them. Leo stepped off the cloud boat, gazing around in awe. "It's real," Chef Puff smiled. "As real as your dreams." Inside, the shelves were still bare, but now, hope hummed in the walls. He turned to the children. "Tonight, you've given me the rarest ingredients in all the sky. Let's bake something the world has never tasted before." And with that, he opened his cookbook, not to a recipe, but to a blank page. "Because tonight," he said, "we're writing something new." Segment 10. The First Dream Cupcake. The children gathered around the central work table of the Cloud Bakery, their eyes wide as Chef Puff floated above the countertop. The air inside shimmered with a gentle glow, alive now with possibility. The once still mixing bowls shivered in anticipation. The teacup wind chimes sang a soft tune. Chef Puff placed the 4 glowing jars on the table. Song, laughter, kindness, courage. Each pulsed with its own hue, gold, amber, rose, and deep blue, casting rainbow glints across the bakery walls. "This," said Chef Puff, "will be our first cupcake of shared dreams. Each ingredient has been freely given, born not from wishful thinking, but from action. That's what makes it powerful." He opened the song jar first. A melody drifted out, Leo's lullaby, gentle and haunting. It wrapped around the room, soaking into the flour like a lullaby cradling the night. Then came Hazel's laughter. It fizzed and popped like warm soda bubbles, bursting into the batter with joyful cracks of gold. The dough quivered with delight. Next, kindness. The pink mist spiraled into the mixing bowl like a ribbon, layering the batter with warmth. As it touched the spoon, the mixture thickened into a soft, glowing swirl. Finally, Chef Puff uncorked courage. The room went still. Even the stars outside seemed to pause. The mist rolled like blue smoke, bold and cool, sinking into the batter's heart. The mixture pulsed once, twice, and then settled with a quiet strength. Chef Puff stirred slowly, with care. The whisk left trails of light as it turned, and the batter rose on its own, like a heartbeat. When he poured it into the first cupcake tin, the dough shimmered as if it remembered everything it had been given. The oven, shaped like a smiling crescent moon, opened with a sigh, and the tray slid in. As the cupcake baked, the air around them grew warmer. Leo felt lighter. Hazel giggled, without even knowing why. Mira closed her eyes and breathed deep. Ding! The oven chimed softly, and Chef Puff pulled out a single cupcake glowing with pale, radiant light. He placed it on a small silver plate. "Who will be the first to taste it?" he asked. Leo looked to Hazel. Hazel looked to Mira. "I will," Mira said simply, stepping forward. She took a bite, and for a moment, the room held its breath. Then her eyes filled with light. "It tastes like," she whispered, voice shaking slightly, "like standing on a hill and not being afraid anymore." Chef Puff nodded. "Then it's working." And for the first time in many nights, dreamlights began to rise from the earth once more. Segment 11. The dream storm begins. Outside the bakery windows, the sky began to swirl. It started softly, tiny pinpricks of glowing light rising from below, drifting upward like lanterns. Then more appeared. Dozens. Hundreds. Spirals of color, warmth, sound. Dream wisps returning. Courage-colored sparks. Kindness-kissed echoes. Laughter-light ribbons. Music from distant memories. The children gasped. Hazel pressed her nose to the window. eyes wide. "They're coming back." Chef Puff stood at the oven, watching the horizon with awe. "The world is remembering how to dream again." Leo whispered, "Because of us?" "Because you shared what was real," Puff said gently. "Real feelings become the strongest dreams." In the kitchen, the dream compass spun joyfully, no longer lost. The oven glowed golden. Mixing bowls hummed in harmony. The empty jars were refilling themselves with droplets of fresh dreams pulled from the returning stream of wonder outside. Chef Puff turned back to his young helpers. "We can't stop here. Let's bake more. A whole batch. One for every child who forgot how to hope." Hazel clapped her hands. "I want to help decorate. I can write messages on the wrappers," Leo offered. Mira gave a quiet nod. "I'll help mix the next batter." And so, they worked together. Each motion held meaning. Hazel swirled frosting shaped like sunrises and laughter bursts. Leo crafted tiny paper wrappers with hand-drawn notes. "You are brave. You are not alone. The storm will pass." Mira stirred the ingredients with careful strength, her every motion grounded and deliberate. The batter she made didn't just shimmer, it glowed deep inside, like embers in a hearth. With every cupcake placed into the oven, the bakery grew brighter. Its magic blossomed from memory and meaning, pulsing with shared hope. And far below, in quiet towns and sleepy cities, children began to stir in their beds. Smiles returned to sleeping faces. Tears stopped falling. Dreams unfurled like soft wings in the dark. Chef Puff looked around at the children and their creations. "You've done more than help me," he said softly. "You've reminded the world that dreams don't need to be grand. They just need to be shared." And the clouds beyond the windows sparked with the birth of a new storm. A dream storm. Segment 12. Where the dreams go. As cupcake after cupcake emerged from the oven, each one unique, each filled with courage, kindness, laughter, or song, Chef Puff carefully nestled them into a floating tray shaped like a crescent sleigh. The moment a cupcake touched the tray, it shimmered briefly and dissolved into mist, its dream infused into the world below. Leo watched with wonder. "Where do they go?" Chef Puff smiled. "To the ones who need them most. The lonely, the worried, the quiet-hearted. The dream finds the soul ready to receive it." Outside the bakery, the dream storm bloomed. Swirls of sparkling fog rolled across the sky like a slow tidal wave, brushing rooftops and windows. When it passed over a house, a warm glow would blossom inside, a child dreaming vividly of flying ships, talking animals, or learning to speak with stars. "Look," whispered Hazel, pointing through the cloud glass floor. Below, a little boy in a hospital bed smiled for the first time in weeks. In the next town, a girl sat up in bed laughing, though she hadn't spoken all day. Farther still, an orphan rocked gently, eyes closed, arms curled around a pillow as light shimmered above his head. Leo's throat tightened. I didn't know a cupcake could do all that." Chef Puff turned to him, expression kind. "Not the cupcake. You. The feeling you gave it. Cupcakes are just the carriers. You and Hazel and Mira, you're the magic." Mira was quiet as always, but there was something new in her eyes. Not just strength, but peace. Will they last? These dreams? Chef Puff's gaze drifted back to the sky. Dreams fade, like everything, but joy, when shared, leaves something behind. A spark, a seed, and those can grow. Hazel tugged his apron. "Can we stay here forever?" Puff chuckled softly. No one stays in the clouds forever, my dear, but you'll carry what you've made with you. He looked down at the tray, nearly empty now, save for a final cupcake that shimmered differently. The glow inside was soft and silver, layered with every feeling they had shared tonight. Leo stepped closer. That one, who's it for? Chef Puff's eyes twinkled. For someone who's forgotten how to dream completely. The children looked at one another, then back at the sky, where stars winked in approval. Segment 13. The Forgotten Dreamer. The final cupcake floated in midair, silver-frosted, glowing softly like moonlight on still water. It neither pulsed with excitement nor sparkled like the others. It hummed quietly, a low, deep sound like a lullaby long forgotten. Chef Puff stared at it with a kind of reverence. "This one is special," he murmured. "Who's it for?" Leo asked again, softer this time. Puff paused. His mustache drooped a little as he turned toward the bakery's viewing window, the same one he'd looked through the night the dream stopped. "There are some hearts," he said slowly, "so weighed down by sadness or fear or silence, they forget dreaming was ever something they could do. Not because they don't want to, but because they've given everything away." Hazel's brow furrowed. "But dreams come back, right?" Puff's eyes were distant. "They can, but sometimes someone must give a dream back to them." Mira stepped forward. "Can we see them? The one this is for?" Chef Puff nodded and tapped the dream compass, which shimmered and expanded into a swirling, silver map of the world, etched in star thread, glimmering across the cloud floor. Slowly, the compass needle turned south, then west. It circled over a small house tucked at the edge of a dense forest, far from any town. Its windows were dark. No fire in the hearth. No toys or books or flowers in the yard. Just silence. Inside, a girl sat at her desk, head bowed. Maybe 10 or 11. Her hair was limp, tied loosely, and her eyes, barely visible in the dim light, were dull with something heavier than sadness. "She hasn't dreamed in over a year," Puff whispered. "What happened to her?" Hazel asked. Chef Puff closed his eyes. "She lost someone. Her dreams went with them." Silence stretched between them. Leo's voice broke it. "Can we give it to her?" Puff looked at him, his eyes soft. "We can try, but this one won't fly like the others. It must be placed gently, delivered with care." Mira stepped forward without hesitation. "Then let's go." Hazel reached for Leo's hand. "We'll go together." Chef Puff smiled, misty-eyed. "Then get ready. This will be the quietest flight yet." And as the cloud boat shimmered into view again, cradling the last cupcake in a cushion of moonlight, the children stepped in, 3 dream bringers on their final delivery. Segment 14. The House Without Laughter. The cloud boat floated downward in silence, gliding through the hush of night like a feather on breathless wind. No glowing trails. No playful gusts of air. Only stillness. The forest beneath them was dense, with branches that clawed at the moonlight and leaves that didn't rustle. It was the kind of place where sound held its breath. As they neared the ground, the boat softened into mist and lowered them gently onto the grass. The house stood ahead, small and gray, its shutters closed, its garden overgrown. No candlelight, no footprints, just a worn path leading to the door. Chef Puff held out the final cupcake, now resting in a silver dome of protective starlight. "She's inside," he said quietly, "but only one of you can deliver it." The children looked at one another. Then Leo stepped forward. "She lost someone," he said. I think I'll know what to say." Puff gave him a slow, approving nod. "Remember, this cupcake holds not just sweetness, but your song, Hazel's laughter, Myra's courage, and Mrs. Maple's kindness. It's all inside. You just have to let her see it." Leo nodded and approached the door, which groaned softly as he pushed it open. The inside smelled faintly of dust and pine. A small fireplace sat cold and empty. Toys were tucked away on a shelf, untouched. At a desk near the back wall, the girl sat with a pencil in hand and a blank page before her. Her eyes flicked up when she heard Leo enter, but she didn't speak. Leo stepped closer.
"Hi, I'm Leo," he said.
"I brought you something." He held out the cupcake, the silver dome lifting away like a breath. The girl looked at it, then at Leo. "What is it?" "It's a dream," he said. "One you don't have to carry alone." She stared, not moving. Leo waited. Then, quietly, he began to hum his song, the one he had sung for his sister. Soft, slow, and trembling with meaning. The girl's breath caught, and her fingers, still resting on the table, curled, just slightly. Leo placed the cupcake on the desk and stepped back. After a moment, she reached for it, took a bite. Her eyes filled, not just with tears, but with light. Outside, Chef Puff felt the wind stir. Hazel whispered, "Did it work?" Mira didn't speak, but she was watching the windows. Then, from inside, golden light blossomed, soft, warm, like sunrise after endless dusk. The shutters glowed. The roof shimmered. A trail of silver mist began to rise from the chimney. Not smoke, but something better. A dream. "She's dreaming again," Chef Puff said. And in that moment, the wind returned. Segment 15. A Dream Reborn. The mist rising from the house curled skyward, carrying notes of silver and warmth, hopeful, hesitant, but unmistakably alive. It didn't shimmer like laughter or glow like courage. It pulsed gently, as if waking after a long, long sleep. Chef Puff closed his eyes and exhaled, his cloudy form gently expanding. "A broken heart has opened," he murmured. "That is the rarest dream of all." Leo stepped out of the house, his face lit by something deeper than joy. It was quiet pride, the kind that came from offering someone exactly what they needed. Hazel ran up and hugged him tightly, Mr. Waffle squished between them. She smiled. Leo said, voice hushed, "Just a little," but it was real. Mira offered her signature nod. "You did good." The forest around them, once so still, now rustled softly. Leaves trembled. Owls blinked from high perches. It was as if the trees themselves had leaned in to listen. The dream compass at Chef Puff's waist spun gently, slower now, as if satisfied. The final cupcake had done its work. Chef Puff turned to the children. "It's time to return to the clouds, one last time." The cloud boat reformed beneath their feet, silver-streaked and trailing mist like a comet. As it rose, the forest fell away below them, and the sleepy house became a glowing speck in the dark, one candle reignited among many. Up and up they soared, past the glimmering stars, into the folds of the waiting clouds. The cloud bakery greeted them with open windows and warm, spicy air. Inside, the shelves had begun to refill themselves, not just with dreams, but with meaning. The jars bubbled again. New emotions, new recipes. Mira was the first to speak as they stepped inside. "What happens now?" Chef Puff looked around at the bakery, no longer dim and silent, but full of humming light and gentle magic. "Now," he said, "the baking begins again, but this time not alone." He waved a paw, and 3 new aprons floated down, star-stitched and cloud-soft, perfectly sized for each of the children. Hazel squealed, "Are we bakers now?" "Dream apprentices," Puff said proudly, "if you'll have the title." Leo grinned, slipping his apron on over his shirt. "We already were, weren't we?" Chef Puff chuckled. "You just didn't know it yet." And as the cloud kitchen filled once more with the sound of stirring spoons, bubbling essences, and laughter that echoed like wind chimes, a new chapter of the Cloud Bakery began. Leo, Hazel, and Mira, 3 children with hearts full of music, laughter, and quiet strength, helped Chef Puff restore the lost magic of dreams. By sharing their emotions freely and selflessly, they collect rare ingredients, a lullaby of love, bubbling joy, quiet kindness, and brave silence. These are baked into dream-filled cupcakes that travel across the world, bringing healing to children who have forgotten how to dream. Their most important task is delivering the final cupcake to a girl whose grief has silenced her imagination. With care and courage, Leo offers her the dream, and she smiles again. In that moment, the clouds above stir, and a wave of restored dreaming flows across the world. Back in the Cloud Bakery, Chef Puff names them dream apprentices, no longer just children, but bringers of light and hope. Dreams are not just fantasies. They are built from courage, kindness, joy, and connection. When shared, they become stronger, and when given freely, they heal. Even the smallest act, a song, a giggle, a kind word, can light the way back to wonder. To you, dear listener, may you carry this story in your heart, and remember, the world is brighter when you share your light. Keep singing, laughing, and dreaming, because somewhere out there, someone needs the spark you hold.
Good night.
And may your dreams be sweet. Crescent Moon Cupcake Sparkles.